Welcome to English Time. This is not just a channel about language. This is a place where words slow down and meaning finally catches up with us. Today, we are talking about something invisible, something we all want, but almost never allow ourselves to experience. Silence. Not the silence of an empty room, not the silence without sound, but the silence inside a human being. Because somewhere between notifications, responsibilities, fears, dreams, and endless thoughts, we lost the ability to simply be, and maybe the reason we feel tired, confused, or constantly late for our own life is not because we have too much to do, but because we have never learned how to become quiet. Today, we explore the power of silence and how it changes who you are when the inner noise finally disappears. Take a deep breath, slow down, and let's begin. Part 1. The noise inside us. Modern life is loud, not only outside, but inside the mind. From the moment we wake up, thoughts begin to run. What should I do today? Did I forget something? What if I fail? What if I'm late? What if I chose the wrong path? Plans, goals, responsibilities, dreams, unfinished conversations, old regrets, future worries. Everything spins together like a carousel that never stops. And the strange thing is, even when nothing happens around us, inside, everything is moving. The mind jumps from one idea to another, from fear to desire, from memory to imagination. And slowly, without noticing, a person loses clarity. You sit down to work, but cannot start. You open your phone without knowing why. You feel busy, but not productive, tired, but unable to rest. The head begins to hurt, not from effort, but from overload, because attention is pulled in 100 directions at once. It feels as if time itself has accelerated. Days disappear faster. Weeks feel unfinished. Life becomes a race without a finish line. And the most dangerous part? We start believing that this chaos is normal, that constant thinking equals progress, that anxiety equals responsibility, that being overwhelmed means we are living fully. But deep inside, something knows the truth. The problem is not life. The problem is noise. An invisible background sound made of thoughts, expectations, fears, and endless internal dialogue. And when this noise becomes constant, a person forgets what inner peace even feels like. They forget how silence sounds. There is a kind of noise that no one else can hear. It does not come from the streets, not from people, not from the world. It comes from within. A quiet but endless stream of thoughts that never truly stops. Even in moments of rest, the mind keeps working, replaying conversations, imagining future problems, comparing lives, judging decisions, questioning worth. And without noticing, a person becomes a prisoner of their own thinking. You try to relax, but remember unfinished tasks. You try to focus, but new worries appear. You try to sleep, and suddenly the brain becomes louder than ever because silence feels unfamiliar. The modern mind is addicted to stimulation. Music in headphones, videos in the background, scrolling without intention, information without pause. We are afraid of empty moments. Standing in a line feels uncomfortable without a phone. Walking without music feels strange. Sitting quietly feels almost wrong. Why? Because when external noise disappears, internal noise becomes impossible to ignore. And many people discover something unsettling. They are not exhausted from work. They are exhausted from thinking. The brain keeps solving problems that do not exist yet, fighting battles that may never come, carrying responsibilities that belong to tomorrow. Fear speaks about the future. Regret speaks about the past. Desire pulls towards something else. And the present moment, the only place where life actually happens, becomes silent and forgotten. This is why people feel lost even when everything seems fine. Nothing is wrong, yet peace is missing, because attention is fragmented. Imagine trying to look at 100 screens at once. That is what constant thinking does to consciousness. Energy spreads everywhere and nowhere deeply. You begin many things, but finish few. You feel urgency without direction, movement without meaning. And slowly, a dangerous illusion appears, the illusion that speed equals progress. But inside, tension grows. The nervous system never rests. Breathing becomes shallow, thoughts become faster, decisions become heavier, life turns into reaction instead of creation. Not living, but responding. Not choosing, but chasing. And at some point, a person realizes something strange, even in complete silence. They cannot hear peace, because the loudest noise was never outside. It was always inside. Part 2. What is real silence? When people hear the word silence, they often imagine something empty. No sound, no music, no talking. But real silence is not emptiness. Real silence is space. It is the moment when your mind stops pulling you in different directions. Silence does not mean that thoughts disappear forever. It means they slow down. Instead of a storm, there is a calm lake. Instead of noise, there is breathing. Instead of pressure, there is presence. For many people, this feels unusual at first. Because we are used to constant thinking, we believe that if we stop thinking, we will lose control. We believe silence means doing nothing. We believe slowing down means falling behind. But the opposite is true. Silence is not weakness. Silence is recovery. Imagine shaking a glass of water filled with sand. When it moves, everything inside is cloudy. You cannot see through it. But when the glass becomes still, the sand slowly falls down, and suddenly the water becomes clear. Nothing new was added. It simply stopped moving. The human mind works the same way. Clarity does not come from forcing answers. It comes from stillness. In silence, the brain finally rests. Breathing becomes deeper. The body relaxes. The nervous system feels safe again, and something important happens. You begin to notice things you ignored before. Small sounds, your own emotions, your real thoughts, not the loud ones, but the honest ones. Silence creates distance between you and your worries. You still have problems. You still have goals. Life does not disappear. But now, they no longer control you. You observe them instead of drowning in them. And in that moment, a person discovers something surprising. Peace was never far away. It was always hidden behind noise. Silence does not change the world outside. It changes how you experience the world inside. And when the inside becomes calm, the outside suddenly feels easier to face. This is why silence is powerful, not because it removes life's challenges, but because it gives you the strength to meet them clearly. So, what is real silence? Deepening. The first experience of silence is often very simple. It does not look special. There are no bright lights, no dramatic moment, no sudden answers about life. Sometimes it happens when a person just sits and stops rushing. Maybe they turn off their phone. Maybe they walk alone without music. Maybe they sit near a window and do nothing. At first, it feels uncomfortable. The mind immediately tries to fill the space. New thoughts appear, random memories return. Small worries become loud again. Many people stop here. They think, I can't be silent. My mind is too busy. But this is not failure. This is the beginning, because silence is not the absence of thoughts. It is the moment when you stop fighting them. Instead of pushing thoughts away, you simply watch them. A thought comes and goes. Another comes and goes, like clouds moving across the sky. You do not chase them. You do not argue with them. You just notice. And slowly, something changes. The space between thoughts becomes bigger. Breathing becomes slower. Shoulders relax. The body feels lighter. For the first time in a long while, there is no need to hurry. Nothing to prove, nothing to fix right now. Just this moment. And many people feel something unexpected here. Not excitement, not happiness, but relief. A quiet feeling that says, I don't need to run all the time. This is real silence. It is gentle. It does not force itself. It does not demand attention. It simply appears when resistance disappears. And in this quiet space, a person begins to reconnect with themselves. They notice what truly matters. They understand what actually worries them and what never did. Some problems suddenly feel smaller. Some goals feel clearer. Some fears lose their power, not because life changed, but because the mind finally slowed down enough to see clearly. Silence becomes like a reset for the inner world, a pause that gives energy back. And once a person feels this, even for a few seconds, they realize something important. Peace is not something you find outside. It is something you allow inside. Why people are afraid of silence. There is a reason many people avoid silence. Not because silence is uncomfortable, but because silence is honest. When everything becomes quiet, distractions disappear. No scrolling, no conversations, no background noise, and suddenly a person meets themselves. At first, this can feel strange. Without noise, hidden feelings start to appear. Unfinished emotions, old fears, questions without answers, things we successfully ignored during busy days. Noise protects us from looking inside. It keeps us occupied. As long as we are busy, we don't need to ask difficult questions like, am I happy? Am I living the life I want? Why do I feel tired even when nothing is wrong? Silence removes that protection. And many people are not used to hearing their own inner voice. They discover worries they pushed away, dreams they forgot, feelings they never allowed themselves to feel. This is why the first moments of silence can feel heavy. The mind wants to escape. You suddenly remember your phone. You want music. You want to check messages. Anything to fill the space again. Because the brain prefers familiar noise over unknown calm. But here is the truth. Silence is not creating problems. It is revealing what was already there, like turning on a light in a dark room. The room did not become messy at that moment. You simply started seeing clearly. And this is why silence requires courage, not loud courage, quiet courage, the courage to stay, to breathe, to listen, to not run away from your own thoughts. And something surprising happens when a person stays long enough. The fear slowly disappears because they realize their thoughts are not enemies, their emotions are not dangerous. And being alone with themselves is not scary. It is freeing. Silence stops feeling empty. It starts feeling safe. And this is the moment when silence changes from something we avoid into something we need. Part 3. How silence changes a person. Silence does not change a person in one moment. It changes them slowly, almost invisibly. At first, nothing dramatic happens. Life looks the same. Problems are still there. Responsibilities do not disappear. But inside, something begins to shift. The reaction becomes slower. Before, every situation created instant stress. A message arrives. Anxiety. A problem appears. Panic. A mistake happens. Self-criticism. The mind reacted automatically. But with silence, a small space appears between the event and the reaction. And inside this small space lives choice. Instead of reacting immediately, a person pauses, they breathe, they see the situation more clearly, and often they realize not everything needs a strong reaction. Not everything is urgent, not everything is dangerous. This small pause changes everything because life stops controlling the person, and the person starts choosing how to respond to life. Another change appears quietly. Focus returns. Before silence, attention was everywhere. One task started, another interrupted it. The phone distracted again. Thoughts jumped constantly. But silence trains the mind to stay, to look at one thing at a time, and suddenly, simple actions become easier. Reading becomes deeper. Work becomes calmer. Conversations become more real. The person is no longer half present. They are fully there, and people around them feel this difference. They speak slower, listen better, react with less anger, not because they try to act calm, but because calmness becomes natural. Silence also changes how a person sees themselves. Without constant noise, comparison becomes weaker. The need to prove something fades. A person stops running someone else's race. They begin to ask a new question. What truly matters to me? And often the answers are simple. Health, meaningful work, honest relationships, time that feels real. Silence removes what is unnecessary, like cleaning dust from a mirror. The person does not become someone new. They finally see who they already were. And maybe the biggest change is this. Peace stops depending on external conditions. Before, calm existed only when everything was perfect. Now, calm exists even when life is imperfect. Because silence teaches stability, a quiet center inside that does not disappear when the world becomes loud. And once a person discovers this inner center, they understand something powerful. Strength is not always loud. Sometimes the strongest thing a person can do is remain calm. Part 3. How silence changes a person. Inner reorganization. In silence, something very important happens. A person stops trying to prove anything, not to the world, not to other people, not even to themselves. There is no audience, no comparison, no competition, no need to look successful or strong, only honesty remains. And in this quiet space, real work begins, not external work, inner work. A person starts meeting their emotions one by one. Fear appears, and instead of running away, they look at it. Anxiety comes, and they listen to what it wants to say. Worry rises, and they ask, "What are you trying to protect?" For the first time, emotions are not enemies. They become information. Silence gives enough space to understand them. It feels like opening many drawers in a room that was closed for years. Inside each drawer are thoughts, memories, dreams, unfinished plans. Before silence, everything was mixed together. Goals with fears, dreams with doubts, tasks with pressure, like a messy desk where nothing can be found. But in silence, a person slowly begins to organize, one thought at a time. This matters. This does not. This is fear. This is a real desire. This goal is mine. This one belongs to someone else's expectations. It is like cleaning a room after a long time. At first, the mess looks bigger, but step by step, order appears. Things return to their place. The mind begins to breathe again. Another way to understand this is like shaking a snow globe. When life is noisy, everything inside is spinning fast. You cannot see clearly, but silence is when the globe is placed gently on the table. The snow slowly falls, and suddenly the picture becomes visible. Nothing new was created. Clarity was always there. It just needed stillness. In silence, people also reconnect with their real goals. Not goals created by pressure, not goals copied from others, but goals that feel calm and true. Dreams stop feeling heavy. Plans stop feeling overwhelming because now they are seen one by one, not all at once. The mind creates structure. Priorities become clear. What is important now? What can wait? What truly gives meaning? This is inner reorganization, a quiet restructuring of life from the inside, and from this process, something powerful begins to grow. Confidence, not loud confidence, not arrogance, a quiet confidence, the kind that does not need approval. Because when thoughts are organized, when emotions are understood, when fears are faced calmly, the person trusts themselves again. Decisions become easier, not because life becomes simple, but because the mind becomes clear. Clarity creates direction. Direction creates calm action, and calm action creates progress without chaos. This is why people who learn silence often move slower, but go much further. Their energy is no longer scattered. It is focused, like sunlight passing through a magnifying glass. Soft light warms. Focused light transforms. From silence grows clarity in thinking, precision in decisions, stability in emotions, and strength without tension. A person no longer runs in circles. They walk forward, step by step, with understanding, with presence, with quiet certainty. And maybe this is the greatest gift of silence. You stop fighting your own mind and start working with it. Part 4, Silence and Focus, the space for creation. After silence brings clarity. Something new becomes possible. Focus, not forced focus, not discipline built on pressure. Natural focus, the kind that appears when the mind is no longer divided. Before silence, attention is weak. A person tries to do many things at once, thinking about the future while working, remembering the past during conversations, checking the phone while trying to concentrate. Energy spreads everywhere, and when energy is everywhere, results are small. But silence gathers attention back together like rivers flowing into one stream. The mind stops jumping, it stays, and when attention stays in one place, creation begins. Because real creation needs space. A painter needs a clean canvas. A writer needs a quiet room. A builder needs a clear plan. In the same way, the human mind needs silence to create something meaningful. Without silence, we react. With silence, we create. In silence, ideas become deeper. You think slower, but better. You see connections you missed before. Solutions appear naturally without forcing them. Many people notice that their best ideas come not during stress, but during calm moments, while walking, sitting quietly, looking at the sky, doing nothing special. This is not accidental. When noise disappears, the brain finally has space to connect thoughts. Silence turns thinking into understanding, and focus becomes effortless. Work changes too. Tasks that once felt heavy become simple steps. Instead of asking, "How do I do everything?" the question becomes, "What is the next small step?" And this question brings movement without overwhelm. Silence also changes productivity. Before, action came from urgency. Now, action comes from clarity. There is less rushing, but more completion, less stress, but better results. Because focus removes wasted energy. Imagine sunlight again. When light spreads everywhere, it only warms. But when it becomes focused, it can ignite fire. Human attention works the same way. Silence concentrates energy, and concentrated energy creates progress. Another important change appears here. A person begins to enjoy the process, not only the result. Working becomes calmer. Learning becomes deeper. Even simple tasks feel meaningful because the mind is fully present. And presence transforms ordinary moments into living experience. This is why silence is not escape from life. It is preparation for real participation in life. You do not withdraw from the world. You return to it, clearer, calmer, and stronger. And slowly, a person understands focus is not something you force. Focus is something that grows naturally when noise disappears. Part 5. Living from silence. At the beginning, silence feels like something you visit. A short moment, a small pause during a busy day, but over time something changes. Silence stops being a place you go to. It becomes a place you live from. Life outside does not suddenly become quiet. The world is still fast, people are still busy, problems still appear. But inside, there is space. And this space changes everything. You wake up without immediate rush. You listen more than you speak. You choose your words carefully, not because you try to be different, but because calm becomes natural. Living from silence does not mean avoiding emotions. You still feel fear. You still feel sadness. You still feel excitement and desire. But emotions move through you instead of controlling you. Like waves passing across the ocean. The surface moves, but the depth remains still. And this inner stillness creates a new way of living. Decisions become simpler. You no longer ask, what will impress others? You ask, what feels true? You stop chasing every opportunity. You start choosing direction. Life becomes less crowded, but more meaningful. There is less noise, yet more understanding. Less rushing, yet more progress. Because when actions come from silence, they carry clarity. And clarity removes unnecessary struggle. Relationships change too. You listen without preparing answers. You speak without trying to win. You allow moments of quiet without discomfort. And people feel safe around calm presence, not because you give advice, but because you are fully there. Silence also changes how you see time. Before, time felt like an enemy, always running away. Now time feels wider. Moments become deeper. A simple walk feels complete. A conversation feels real. Even doing nothing feels meaningful, because presence replaces hurry. And maybe the most beautiful realization appears here. Nothing was missing from life. Only attention was missing. Silence brings attention back to breathing, back to reality, back to yourself. You understand that peace was never something to achieve. It was something covered by noise. And now, when noise fades, life feels closer, simpler, clearer, alive. So maybe silence is not the absence of sound. Maybe silence is the moment when you finally hear life as it truly is. Take a breath. Notice this moment. Nothing extra is needed, just awareness, just presence, just silence. Living from silence does not happen in one big moment. It happens in very small changes. So small that at first you almost do not notice them. One day you wake up and you do not immediately reach for your phone. There is a short pause, just breathing. Nothing special happens, but inside there is no rush. Another day, a problem appears. Before, your body would become tense instantly. Now, there is 1 second of space, just 1 second, and inside that second, something new exists. You are not reacting automatically. You are choosing. This is how silence works. Not loudly, but deeply. Slowly, the need to prove yourself begins to disappear. You stop explaining your worth through achievements. You stop comparing your timeline to others. You realize something simple. Life is not a competition you must win. It is an experience you're living. And because of this, pressure becomes lighter. Not gone, but lighter. In silence, you begin to notice your inner movements. You notice when fear starts speaking. You notice when anxiety tries to hurry you. You notice when desire pushes you too fast. Before, these forces controlled you without permission. Now, you see them arriving. And when you see something clearly, it loses its power over you. Silence creates awareness. Awareness creates freedom. You begin organizing life naturally, not through strict control, but through understanding. Plans become clearer because you know why they matter. Goals become calmer because they belong to you. Tasks stop feeling like weight. They become steps, like walking on a path where you finally see the direction. Imagine a messy room again. Before silence, you kept adding new things into the room. New goals, new worries, new expectations. There was no space left to move. Silence is not adding something new. It is opening the windows. Fresh air enters. You start removing what is unnecessary. And suddenly, the same room feels bigger. Your life does not become larger. Your mind becomes clearer. And from clarity grows a new kind of confidence. Not loud confidence that needs attention, quiet confidence. The confidence of understanding yourself. You trust your decisions more. You say no without guilt. You say yes with intention. You move slower, but without doubt. This confidence feels stable, like standing on solid ground after walking on unstable sand. And with this stability comes clarity. You see what deserves your energy. You stop wasting effort on things that only create noise. You learn an important truth. Not everything needs your reaction. Not everything needs your opinion. Not everything needs your attention. Energy returns to you. And when energy returns, life feels lighter. Moments become deeper. You drink tea and actually taste it. You walk and notice the air. You listen and truly hear another person. Nothing extraordinary changes, yet everything feels different because you are finally present, and presence creates meaning. In silence, you stop searching for life somewhere else. You begin experiencing it here, right now, breath by breath, moment by moment. And then one day, you understand something very quiet but very powerful. Peace was never something you needed to build. It was something hidden under constant noise. Silence did not give you a new life. It revealed the life that was already waiting. So the goal is not to escape the world. The goal is to carry silence within you while living fully inside the world, talking, working, loving, creating, but from calm instead of chaos, from clarity instead of confusion, from presence instead of hurry. And maybe this is the deepest meaning of silence. You do not become someone else. You finally return to yourself. Take one slow breath. Feel this moment. Nothing needs to be added. Nothing needs to be fixed. Right now, this is enough. During this journey, nothing outside has changed. The world is still moving. Time is still passing. Life continues exactly as before. But something inside us is different now. We slowed down. We listened. We allowed space to exist between thoughts. And in that space, we discovered something simple but powerful. We are not our noise. We are not our fears, not our anxiety, not the endless list of tasks in our minds. Behind all of that, there is awareness, calm, clear, present. Through silence, we learn to see instead of react, to understand instead of rush, to choose instead of chase. Maybe problems will still come tomorrow, maybe doubts will return, but now we know something we did not know before. We know where to return. Back to breath, back to stillness, back to silence. And this knowledge changes how we live, because once you experience real silence, even for a moment, you carry a quiet center inside you, a place where thoughts slow down, a place where clarity begins again, a place that no external chaos can fully take away. And little by little, this silence will influence everything. How you speak, how you work, how you love, how you make decisions, not loudly but deeply, like roots growing under the ground, unseen but strong. So when this video ends, do not rush away immediately. Stay for one more breath. Notice the quiet around you. Maybe it was always here. Thank you for being here with English Time. If this moment felt calm, carry it with you into the rest of your day. And remember, sometimes the most powerful change in life begins when everything becomes quiet.